morning. This is really loud today. Yeah, it's too loud. Good morning, everyone. It's 9 o'clock and we have people in the room. This is absolutely fantastic. A big warm welcome to our session on linking evidence to financing. So we've all been hearing that less than what percent goes toward adaptation. Less than 20% of climate finance goes to adaptation. Even less goes to farmers. So let's see how we can focus this session on really leveraging these data, the evidence, to encourage more financing. And we have a really great panel. I'm Lee Winowicki. I'm a soil scientist and the global research lead of soil and land health at C4ECRAF, and I co-founded the Coalition of Action for Soil Health in 2021. I hope MAPA will join. So objectives are to highlight soil health as a climate solution. I hope it's in the final declaration. I know negotiations have been hard. That would be a great win. Showcase evidence that can be leveraged to de-risk financing. And you'll see we have amazing panel and we can foster these partnerships. So everyone here knows, because we're in the FAO pavilion, that 95% of our food is dependent on healthy soil. But did you know that soil is also central to every single SDG? And we really hope that after this session and these 2 weeks, talking about soil health every single day, that we will recognize that it's central for ecosystem restoration, biodiversity conservation, climate change adaptation and mitigation, and of course, food and nutrition security. And we also know that over 40% of the Earth's surface is degraded. This is a photo my son took while we're on vacation. This is how prevalent land degradation is, that you can even see it when you're going on vacation. So business as usual is no longer an option. In fact, it should have never been an option. I don't know why we thought it ever was okay. So we really need increased investments in implementing, monitoring, policy, and financing. So allow me to introduce C4ECRAF's global monitoring evidence generation. We have a methodology called the Land Degradation Surveillance Framework, LDSF. Every single green dot is a 100 square kilometer site. So that's a big landscape. And we have over 300 sites globally, all implementing the same methodology, no matter if it's in rangelands, forests, agricultural land. Does anyone see a sampling bias on a particular continent? Yes, we have a bias toward Africa, but we also have sites in Latin America, and we would love to expand that actually with you. And it's a really important methodology because it has systematic sampling design, and this allows for robust comparisons, mapping, and we look at many different indicators, including soil health. Yes, and if you scan it, you will get our updated field guide because we're celebrating 20 years of this. So I just wanted to demonstrate that there are efforts, and I know Louise will talk about efforts in MAPA and Embrapa that are committed to generating the evidence to produce, for example, maps of soil erosion. So we've been producing maps of soil erosion globally every year for free online. And we also can relate it to what the farmers are doing at the field. So we can produce maps at 30-meter resolution. The red dots are where households are, and we're tracking these households every year to see how the interventions are decreasing erosion and increasing soil organic carbon. So the legend is somehow a little bit off, but here is very yellow and it's very low carbon. So this is actually where Joyce Kasioki's from in Makueni County, Kenya. And you can see brown areas are high carbon, yellow areas low carbon. And it's really important that we understand why and what practices can really improve soil health. And I'm giving one example where we've been leveraging these data with the African Union. So now member states are going to report on one soil health indicator. And soil scientists we're fighting because everyone wants their favorite indicator. But think about it. Governments cannot measure every single indicator of soil health. So we have an opportunity with the African Union to support one indicator. So on this panel and the discussion we're going to have, I want us to think of other ways that we can leverage data. Luckily, we have really advanced government representatives here, so I'm really excited to hear, because I'm giving you my perspective, but I know we can do much, much more. So here we are. I'm going to introduce my panel. And let's see, Helena from ES. I'm allowed to say it that way, right? Excellent. Louise, no, Ranjal, right? Did I say it right? Yes. Welcome to the stage. Nick Long from Australia, Lily from East Africa or Kenya National Farmers Federation, and Hicham from OCP NutriCops. Yes, there you are. Good. Let's give them a round of applause. Is that me? That's not me, right? The Vanessa, that's not me. The feedback, is it? I'll walk. Okay, someone else. Okay, there's always feedback going on in this place, and I never know which one it is. So everyone's talking, where are the farmers? Where are the farmers? Where are the farmers? We have farmers on this panel. And can I also say, we have youth. So it's very important. So let's start with you, Lily. First, you can introduce yourself, who you work for. I'll give you this. And I really want to hear how farmers are engaging in soil health strategies, how farmers are engaging in data collection, and feel free to ground us in Kenyan farmers.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be in this panel as a young farmer and a representative of the World Farmers Organization. I work for the Kenya National Farmers Federation as the lead climate action practice. So farmers are already leading soil health. We have farmers calling us every day, asking us, we are doing everything the same way. We are practicing farming the same way we've been doing for so many years, but there is something wrong. Our yields are not the same anymore, and we have a feeling it's about the soil. And I can already tell you farmers are very adaptable and willing to learn if they get the right support. At KENAF, we have the ISFM project where we are helping farmers. We have soil testing models and we've trained young people, TOTs. So through the TOT model, we've been able to help farmers test their soil, over 5,000 farmers. And what they do is they also take this to their neighbors. So it's already working, and farmers are helping each other through practices such as crop rotation, agroforestry. We are already leading soil health. So the question is not whether farmers are leading this, but whether we are able to finance this and scale it from ground up. Thank you.
That was so amazing, because I think a lot of programs are really trying to improve yields, but they neglect the soil. And I'm really proud, because I also live in Kenya. I'm really proud that KENAF is really leading this. So that's absolutely awesome. So I forgot to mention that OCP is also a co-sponsor of this event. We have merged events, and I think it was absolutely perfect. So I'd like the next question to go to Hisham, Director of Evaluation and Learning. So please, I know OCP is doing a lot, so feel free to ground us in any example that you would like to share on your leadership in soil health.
Thank you. Maybe I will just say a few things about what we do and who we are. So we're a century-old company that we like to define ourselves as a soil health company, really. So we're blessed with 70% of the world phosphate reserves. And we really feel the responsibility that comes with being the custodian of these reserves by really acknowledging that everything starts with the soil. So let's just say that if I was to share maybe one initiative that is very important for OCP that has been deployed for a while is anything related to soil mapping. We've mapped more than 54 million hectares of soils, a lot of Kenya soils as well. And so this just brings me back to, maybe I'll have more time to talk about our farmer-centric initiatives later, but it's not just about saying that soil health is important, it's about how we engage with the farmers on soil health, and how we do soil testing, how we do demonstration plots, and how we help with interventions that eventually lead to adoption of technologies that are soil health friendly.
Yeah, it's a good point. So basically what I'm hearing you say is you're actually using these data and the maps to inform the interventions. Okay, excellent. So I hope you two can talk, right? Because if you're both working in Kenya. So in Kenya, we don't have a national soil strategy yet, but Australia does. And I'm a huge fan of Australia's national soil strategy. I've read it, and I had the pleasure of interacting with Honorable Penny Wensley for many years. She was the Australian national soil advocate, the only country in the world that had a national soil advocate, right? That's amazing. So please, maybe bring us, highlight how this policy is used for financing data. Do you even use the data for your policy? And how can we improve that financing gap? Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Lee, and good to be with everyone this morning. So yes, Australia has a national soil strategy which was launched in 2021. Well, I guess for context, why did we do this? Well, as my fellow panelists have indicated, soil is life and essential for the food and fiber that we sort of need, nutritious food and fiber that the world needs. And Australia has some of the most ancient fragile soils in the world. It's a very ancient sort of continent, as many would know. It's a very large continent, over 350 different soil types, very diverse sort of agricultural systems, very diverse climates. And also, we also happen to be a federation. So we have sort of 7 states and territories, which means we have, I guess, quite a fragmented approach, like many federations, in terms of particularly land management, planning, and industry structure and supply chains. So the real point of a national soil strategy is to provide some national leadership around soils, and also to sort of start to harmonise our approach to soils across industries, across supply chains, and across different jurisdictions as well. Now, it's easier said than done because you're dealing with different governments, you're dealing with local governments, state governments, and different federal agencies as well. Also, very diverse industry. And one thing I've learned along the journey is just how passionate soils people are across the spectrum, which is great to work with. But part of the challenge is sort of how you bring everyone together around some shared priorities. So the National Soil Strategy was, I guess, a first step to sort of identify what the opportunities and challenges were for soils in Australia, and also bring those different parts of the agri-food system together to look at shared priorities across research and development, on-farm extension, building evidence, and I guess going to your question, Lee, around sort of finance, is like how we integrate soils into broader sort of agri-food finance systems. And I guess, we have a number of emerging mechanisms. We sort of have climate smart agriculture programs, which are dedicated or more focused on on-farm action to support integrated sort of farming methods that better capture healthy soils into sort of integrated farming systems. And also, I guess, more sort of formal finance arrangements. We have got an emerging carbon market with dedicated methodologies around soil carbon. We have some of the lowest soil carbon levels in the world, given our ancient soils, not surprising. And in fact, I think I shared this stat with you earlier on a different panel, Lee, earlier in the week. If you look, Australia's a big continent. About 55% of our land mass is used for agricultural production. And if you just took 1% of that agricultural land and increased soil carbon rates by an average of 0.1%, it'd be the equivalent of taking about 1 million cars off the road every year. So there's plenty of opportunity there, but obviously improving soil carbon is also not straightforward in terms of permanence and additionality and those types of requirements. So it is a work in progress. So I'm glad that we can be sort of showcased around sort of national leadership on soils, but also it's a work in progress, and that sort of journey doesn't stop. So yeah, maybe that's where I'll pause.
Thanks. And Nick is being very humble. I also want to highlight that he's the first Assistant Secretary of Sustainability, Climate and Strategy Division from the Australian government, and he's a negotiator. So I don't know how you've even made time to be on this panel, but I really wanted to appreciate you. Absolutely. Let's give him a round of applause. For real. Seriously. And not only that, a very early morning panel. Great. So also was in Adelaide at the International Rangeland Congress and actually watched several presentations on the soil carbon MRV for Australia and also in the rangelands. So we really need to highlight the role of rangelands, savannas, and grasslands for storing soil carbon because the roots are very deep of these grasses and there's such vast areas. So thanks for bringing that up. And I hope we can think of other financing solutions beyond carbon as well. So I'm really excited to have Ais represented here and a youth representative. So Helena, great. What is the role of youth? I know it's hard to try and speak on behalf of all youth in the world, but maybe on behalf of yourself and Ais, what's the role of youth for evidence generation? How can we, even think about innovative financing for soil data? Please go ahead.
Yes, so my association, the International Association of Students in Agriculture and Related Sciences, we're linked to over more than 200 universities all over the world. And we have a strong network of passionate students that want to engage in the agri-food system and that want to also provide solutions. And I think that is something about the youth that's really inspiring. We always see them as the future leaders or the future solution makers, but we get having these responsibilities of all the problems that are coming on this. If our soil isn't healthy, how are we gonna even start with our agriculture? How are we gonna first having land access and financing that, and then even making sure that our soil get healthy again? That's a huge responsibility. So we get like this feeling we get these problems, but we have solutions and we want to contribute to these solutions. And that is a nice thing about youth. We're really unbiased. We just see the solutions and we want to solve it. So we want to go in partnerships with that. We want to be empowered to be able to do that. And that is one of the amazing things of our network, and how we can even help that with the evidence thing. The youth, or like definitely my association, the students, we're in between the high level technical stuff. I'm already at my end of my education now, so I feel like I'm already more at the technical side. But in the beginning, you're the bridge between the younger youth, the children, and the language between that. So you're the bridge between the language of the scientists and the language of the children that are facing the solution. So now with the rising of TikTok, with the rising of how we can even do our local languages there. So what we really try to do with our local committees, we have this slogan, think globally, act locally. So I'm now on the global level presenting ES globally. But I go back to my local committees and I don't talk even in my national language. I talk in my dialect to the people there, the students, the youth in the even lower schools, to address these things, how we should think about that. And that's how we can help with the evidence. And another part is then, of course, we're still in education. We like to learn. We want to learn. So having these things of like, how can we do it more evidence-based, how we can scale up data. We want to go on the fields and learn how to take samples. So just give us the work and we would love to help with that.
Okay, who here is on TikTok? Okay, yes. Oh my God, Ranjal, you are? I love this idea. Are you suggesting that we use TikTok to maybe motivate people, raise awareness about soil health, raise awareness about youth, and maybe stimulate someone to think of some innovative financing?
Of course, it's a way now to really, it's a way to really connect now with the youth. They're all glued on their phone. Well, I used to like go scavenger hunting potatoes in the field in my free time. They're on their phone now. So it's a way of like showcasing that to them, like, hey, there is some harvest left over. Let's just all like help with that, or like let's go take some samples to do a cleanup. It's a way of mobilizing people and sharing fast information and bringing a network. So yeah, I did think that.
Okay, so I thought I was cool because I on Instagram, but apparently, Omar, you'll give me a tutorial on TikTok after this. Okay, great, and maybe Ranjal, you can help me. Let's give let's give Helena a round of applause. Okay, this is awesome. So I know I'm going to ask you a question, and you're just going to talk about Rais. So, Louis, I mean, you have your prop ready. Ranjal, I heard that MAPA was on over 100 panels. I heard this from Bruno. I think you've been doing the majority of them, and we love you and appreciate you. And I just am so grateful for all of your energy, and also because I've heard you talk about data and evidence and your soil health program at Embrapa so many times, and I think that's very unique to have such a high level advocate for soil health. So just go ahead and tell me what you're going to tell me about that brochure.
Thank you, Leah. First of all, I need to congratulate you for your job because it's amazing. So applause for her. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's a soil sciences that to create a kind of good environment for everybody. So I need to set good news for you. Yeah, because not only about Raiz, not only about the public policy that we have in Brazil, but we really need to do public policy linked by data, so scientific basis. So we try to understand more about how can Australia do that through the soil strategy. And in Brazil, we have a strategy too, but unfortunately not yet dealing with the problems that we have. So Raiz is a kind of call to action from the world that we try to understand more how can we improve the degraded land, and the data is the basis to understanding this thing. And the good news that in Brazil we try to link it to the loans, the credit, the rural credit to the evidence for the soil health. So we create a kind of relation between the central bank in Brazil and the Ministry of Agriculture to try to put the soil health and the soil strategy, the data, to link by the rural credit, you know. Yes, it's very important to us because the guys from the banks asked me, Luis, how can we understand the sustainability in the field? So we need to create some data to understand how can we improve the sustainability year by year. So I try to explain for the finance guys that like agronomists, we need to understand how no tillage, for example, create more carbon in the soil. So the data for the carbon in the soil, you know about that, Nick, is so expensive. So we need to understand more easier and cheap strategy to try to understand the movement, the carbon in the soil. So Lee and Mariangela and Ieda is a very smart girls that will understand the soil science and teach me that we can create a kind of easier indicators. So the soil health could be and need to be an indicator to dealing with this. So Raiz is on my propaganda. Raiz is an initiative that we have here in Brazil, not initiatives, is an implementation action agenda. So we create in the partnership with FAO the strategy to bring all together initiatives to improve strategy for land degradation area around the globe. So 1 billion hectares around the globe, Nick, is degraded. So we need to create a roadmap and understanding map like you show to understand where is the degraded area, and show for the finance guys that is a good opportunity to invest there. So in Brazil, we have a lot of degraded area. We do the strategy to call finance for this area. So we need to link it, the strategy from Brazil for the world. So that's the good news.
Okay, Lily, now you need to talk to Ranjal because I don't think we're talking to any banks in Kenya. I don't think I've ever presented to a bank, and now I'm motivated. I think that is such an amazing example. I don't know if it's because of your personality or your excitement of how you got this, but I want to hear more. That is so fantastic. And also, I'm going to go to the audience and ask questions, but I wanted to just kind of highlight what you talked about. We are celebrating 10 years of the action agenda. I attended the NAZCA session yesterday with the COP20 presidency. I didn't even know the action agenda started in Peru at COP20. And this year, I think, has been the best action agenda, the best participation of non-state actors because of this COP30 presidency. So can we just applause for the action agenda? And Raiz is one of these plans to accelerate that's been launched at this COP as well. So please, it's 9 o'clock. No one is sleeping, I've noticed. That's great. So who wants to ask a question? You have access to negotiators, to government, to youth, to private sector. This is your opportunity. And if no one does, I know Omar will. Do you want to ask? No? Okay, Omar, it's up to you. And introduce yourself. Oh, and then we'll go there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You have saved Omar.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leonie. I work at JPEL Global. We're a research institute at MIT that works to get evidence into the hands of policymakers. I'm really curious to hear from the panelists today what efforts your organizations are working on to get the soil testing kind of results into the hands of farmers so that they can know what kind of formulas, solutions, technologies they can apply to increase their farm's productivity. Thanks.
Nice to meet you. Awesome. I love J. Paul, actually. Any other questions? Did she warm you up? Yes. Great.
Hello, I'm Ana Carolina. I'm a Brazilian farmer, young female farmer. And I was just wondering, because I'm very interested in seeing the farm in Kenya also, about the South-South cooperation and how we can exchange tropical agriculture or practices in that way. So if any of you have something in that sense, I'd like to know.
Thanks, Ana Carolina. And she's an amazing person, very smart. And I hope, are you inviting us to your farm? Okay, great. Go ahead.
Oh, I can maybe answer Leonie's question, maybe also on South-South cooperation, what we do. So I'd like to talk about an initiative that we have at OCP called OCP School Lab. It's a mobile laboratory that goes around the agricultural regions continuously, providing free soil testing and also trainings on good agronomical practices. So that has already touched more than 1 million farmers in 8 countries. And just to respond to Leonie's question, I think it's pretty clear that the data is shared right away with the farmer without any, let's say, link to commercial solution or anything, because we're not into we're not really B2C on those markets. And for us, it's just a development activity. We hope that by doing this, we raise more awareness with the farmer so that they can apply the 4 R's, so that they can really get the best product for their soils, for the soil's health. On South-South cooperation, maybe I will resonate with what Luis was saying. We actually have a research program with Embrapa that is just linked towards South-South cooperation, learning about how Africa and Brazil actually can cooperate on soil health and on research. So that's something that we've been working on for a while now. Yeah.
Oh, I want to be part of that. That would be amazing. So please tell us about your experience sharing data with farmers, how they use or what we need to improve, because I think this is a really important question.
Yes. I believe that if we only use carbon metrics, then it's quite complex for farmers. So what we've been doing at KENAF is helping them with what they can easily understand, like water retention, organic matter. So it's just simplifying it and involving them, because what happens is we do research and we don't involve the farmers. So when we impose it on them, then it doesn't help with the ground realities. So treating them as part of the solution is very important.
I love that. That's fantastic. Anyone else want to comment? Oh, go ahead. I stole your mic.
Want to comment about the question about MIT, from MIT. So the strategy try to create an integrated platform. So like Lee showed, we have some platforms in Africa. We have some platforms in Brazil. So here in Brazil, we develop a platform with Embrapa, like you said, with more than 50,000 samples of soil with a different analysis, not only organic matter. So we can create a kind of platform and a map to try to understand how can we perform in the soil. So we can give for the farmers the options to use less or more fertilizer in the sustainable way. So the strategy to create a linked platform. And I know that Lee worked very hard with FAO to try to integrate the information around the globe. It's a hard job. It's not easy, but it's possible. So.
And I believe that platform was launched in the AgriZone this week. So it's very exciting. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just thought I'd share something a bit quirky in an Australian context. So part of our one of our soils initiatives is sort of promoting soil champions and sort of have annual awards to sort of recognize soil leadership from sort of a community local level. And a couple of years ago, a farmer that won this award created this initiative and had a TikTok account and was very sort of, I guess, social media orientated. So anyhow, had a great following and had really activated quite a lot of interest in soil health. And the initiative, and bear with me, is Show Us Your Undies. And so basically, this farmer, because soil data and soil health and soil organic and carbon, like we're not expecting every farmer to be a soil scientist. But so basically it was an endeavor to sort of simplify what good healthy soils look like and how farmers can sort of understand what their soil health looks like in a simple way without having to do all complex sort of testing involving labs. So basically taking a pair of cotton underwear, burying it sort of 5 centimeters below the surface, and then coming back every few weeks to look at what the underwear looked like. And basically after about 8 weeks or so, if you've got really healthy soils, all that's left is basically the elastic of the underwear. There's no organic matter left because all the worms and biomes, everything's gone. So it's just an example of kind of how you sort of like engage different farmer groups in a simple way that sort of demystifies what can be quite a complex, overwhelming topic. And as a non-soil scientist, like that resonated with me. So anyway, I just thought that was something a bit different.
And actually, you can find it on LinkedIn. I think Australia has such good presence on soil health on LinkedIn. You have CRC, you have all these, the soil capital group. So yeah, so the idea is that if you have a lot of microbial activity, it will decompose the underwear just like it will organic material. So it's super awesome. Go ahead, Helena.
Yeah, I want to contribute to the South-South collaboration. That's something that we also really value because although we originated more in the European part, we're now the most strong in our global South countries. Like the global board now is for 80% global South, which is really nice. I really love working with them and because I'm global North, but well, just really love these things. And how we try to do that is we have a lot of activities. Like we have local projects, and those local projects go to a global competition. They can then pitch each other. They can learn from each other online. But we also have the International Conference of Youth in Agriculture, where we bring people to a certain region, and there they can bring their own projects and present them while learning in that region how it works, ask questions, learn from that. And then a very important part as well as students to have experience, because it's always asked like, what is your experience, is our internship program. So we send people from all over universities to other people where they then can stay with local students as well. So we try to like make it accessible, having that community so that they can go and dialogue and really like learn from the people on the ground. So it's one of these things that we really see like we need to empower that. Definitely those relationships. We still have a lot of problems with, of course, financing, visa issues. Like if you want to do this with all doing this voluntary base, so like it's hard sometimes to get something through. But even online, we have weekly like a scientific seminar where people can like pitch their projects, where countries. I'm the national director of Belgium, so we would invite now. We have Nepal upcoming to have like a seminar with them to like see what's the thing is going. We have one with Indonesia, one with USA upcoming to like learn what is their expertise, their problems, so to have that collaboration. And so we have that all around the world. And that's really something I think if we can start now with the students, it will continue then in the later field, and the South-South collaboration will just be stronger because you already have the connections before you're even in the working field. So we really value that as well.
And I think you're highlighting the importance of networks and giving exposure. And I think also to the question from J. Paul, if we are training students young to share data back with the farmers, we can really close that learning cycle. And I think that's an important element.
And I also want to highlight, yes, it's very excited that we're part also of CASH. And now we have this Youth for Soil Health Manifesto coming up.
Yeah.
This is really something amazing because that is now also something in ES with our network that we can focus on, because we do a lot on the food agri system, but now having the support with scientists, with industry's policies to empower us to really have that manifesto coming up is really amazing as well.
Yes, thanks for mentioning it. So hashtag Youth for Soil and the Soil Manifesto. Let's give a round of applause for that. and anyone can join. I love all of you. This is such an insightful panel. So I want us to maybe go through one more round and I really want some concrete examples of the role of private sector to scaling soil health, but also providing that financing, because we've heard carbon markets, but we know that it's very difficult, and we've heard it from the farmers. So what are some other examples and lessons learned from the private sector?
Maybe I'll talk about, well, financing is very important, but it needs to be built on evidence. And I'm happy we have Leonie with us here today from JPAL. I want to maybe talk also about how we value evidence in our work at OCP NutriCrops. So we actually have an embedded lab at JPAL collaboration that is completely embedded within OCP NutriCrops. It's called UJALA, the UM6B Applied Lab for Agriculture, JPAL Applied Lab for Agriculture. It looks at all the farmer-centric activities that OCP actually roll out. And we do randomized control trials to test if they're impactful, if they're cost-effective. And that by itself, it helps with the co-financing, with knowing if these things work. It helps with innovation loops. So yeah, that's a first point. For financing, we also at OCP have this initiative called MAVA. It's mobilizing for African value chains in agriculture. And it's a collaboration between OCP and IFC, the International Finance Corporation, aiming to mobilize more than $800 billion by 2030 to unlock value chains in sub-Saharan Africa. And so they work with right now with cashew, with rice on innovation, mobilizing finance through blended finance, so that we can have more innovation and more unlocked barriers to innovation. Yeah.
I just hosted some of your colleagues at the eCraft campus, and they taught me the word for soil.
Oh, chorba. In Arabic, right? Yeah, there's sorba.
Isn't that a beautiful word? I just love it. Sorba. I'm trying to learn every language how to say soil. That is great. So thank you so much. And thank you. And please tell us more in the future how we can tap into this $800 million fund. And I just think that's really great, because we're just hearing there's no funding for adaptation. And now we're hearing that there is some. And so it really does take that collaboration. So thank you so much. I'm going to go to Lily. Just please, you have people here, you have government here, you have private sector. Use this opportunity. What do you wish we could do better? What lessons learned? I'm so inspired by how you're communicating with the farmers, and you yourself are a farmer. So please go ahead.
I guess the first thing I'll highlight is about repurposing subsidies. So in Kenya, we have a very huge fertilizer subsidy program which started years ago. And all farmers get fertilizer subsidized, but mostly there is no soil testing. So what we've been doing with a lot of partners is we are trying to repurpose that. We don't want farmers to just receive fertilizer, but it has to include soil testing, capacity building. And we are almost winning, because just recently, we now have biofertilizers in the subsidy program for the first time. They are going to be part of next year's program. So I think that's the first thing, because the Ministry of Agriculture has this as their biggest project, yet it didn't have soil health before. I guess something else we can look at is blended finance. We know the private sector is very scared to invest in climate adaptation as far as farmers are concerned. So we are trying to de-risk this by using philanthropic capital and also public support, so that private sector can also be involved. Something else that is lacking is verifiable outcomes. So we really need to measure. The private sector need to know that wherever they are investing, there are verifiable outcomes, so that they can pump in more money into it. And then one of the final things that is easy to do is doing this with the farmers and not for the farmers. Thank you.
That's amazing. I am really inspired by you. And I can just imagine that you're, negotiating with the Ministry of Ag, and they're like, okay, Lily, whatever you say, like, we will do it. But please count on me, because be happy to help advocate with you. And World Bank is also very active in the repurposing agenda, and they're really trialing it in Malawi. And they were saying that by just providing fertilizers, they were not getting increased yield. Not getting increased yield in Malawi. I don't know if anyone here has been to Malawi, but it has a lot of soil degradation. So now the World Bank is saying, okay, what if we provide subsidies to invest in healthy soil so that the nutrient use efficiency of fertilizers increases? So lots to learn on. That's great, Lily. I'm coming with you next time. So is Joyce. We're going to the Kenyan government together. So Nick, you have highlighted that you have this strategy since 2021. You have all this advocacy, the soil carbon markets. Just share with us some lessons learned. What can we, build on from your experience and not having to start from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and this might be slightly controversial because I'm on a soil panel, but you also, with a lot of these things, you can't be just too soil centric, and you got to think about, I guess from a farmer perspective, they're not sort of getting up every day and just making decisions about soils. They've got a lot of other decisions to make and engage with risk. So it's a lot of the on-ground extension capability building and work with farmers and farmers groups has to sort of think about how we embed soil practices and good healthy soil management into all the other decisions that farmers have to make each day. So I think certainly thinking about, and that's easier said than done, but I think certainly thinking about how we integrate soils into everything else going on in a farm business is where the opportunity lies. I think echoing Lily's point around sort of, there's no shortage of money in the world going into agriculture. It's just sort of redirecting it away from environmentally harmful subsidies. Like 50 years ago, Australia used to have this policy around, like, it was a superphosphate bounty, basically giving fertilizers and phosphates away for free to farmers, which not surprisingly led to a complete overuse of these inputs and significant degradation to our landscape. So thankfully that was a policy that disappeared sort of in the 80s, along with a bunch of other policies that sort of propped up sort of commodity prices, and we had tariff barriers, and really transformed our landscape from being an ag sector that was very inwards focused to sort of a sector that was more outwards focused. And that wasn't pain free. But I think now where our investment in agriculture as a country is really directed is research and development, extension, outreach, and showcasing best practice sustainable land management to farmers. Not surprisingly, farmers don't really trust government in terms of like getting good advice around sort of how to manage their land. I don't think that's very controversial. I think that probably sort of transcends borders and is probably global. And so, most Australian farmers sort of look across the fence and look at what their neighbour's doing. They might be sort of trialing something different on a certain paddock and seeing how it goes. And it's really a demonstration around kind of practice change that sort of really starts to scale up new farm management practices, including around soils. So you've got to show that something works, and you've got to show that it has a productivity benefit, because you can't turn up to a farm gate and ask a farmer to do something that doesn't improve the quality of their landscape and deliver a productivity dividend. And no business in any economy is going to do something off its own back if there's not a productivity or profitability return. We wouldn't expect any business in any other sector to do that. So why expect farmers to do it? So I think we've got to think about that.
Thank you. Excellent point. Yeah, multiple demands on farmers. And I think that we're getting some threads here. And I loved your point about, when we're using inputs, let's use the soil maps. Let's include soil testing in the subsidies. Let's use these data and evidence. I think it's fantastic. So thanks. I'm like finding some threads across these comments. So Ranjal, my new bestie. And don't deny it because this is being recorded. Please, I've been talking to Ieda. She's a leading soil scientist in Embrapa Cerrado, and she's part of the group that won the World Food Prize, Dr. Hungria's lab. And I tell her, oh my goodness, your government is promoting your work all the time. How did you do this? How how is it so just off the top of your tongue all the time talking about data and Brapa Soul program? What are some lessons you can share with us about really, better communicating our data with our governments, with the private sector, with farmers, and really just share some insights about what really motivated MAPA to, promote soil bio?
It's a long history, Lee. It's a long history. But first of all, I need to agree with Nick here because agriculture is agriculture all over the world. So the same situation that you have in Australia, we have in Brazil, and Carol can say that. So neighborhood, jellos, and how can we address, for example, good experience is interesting. So Lee, to answer your question, I have two ways. The historical way that we need to tell about, we need to talk about ABC program, because ABC is we have a pin here. I gave a pin for Nick, because ABC is a very interesting national plan that we developed beginning in 2010 to address the national plan for climate change in Brazil. So the agriculture sector in Brazil strong believe that we can do sustainability production here in Brazil, and we adopt not a rocket science. It's a very simple science based on science, of course, the perspective from the Embrapa, to adopt no tillage system, the pasture recover, the biofuel from manure. So different strategies together to show to the farmer that is profitability in the first way. And after that, we have a co-benefits for the climate. So that's it. So nowadays, we have the second phase of ABC Plus until 2030. And now we start to think to launch the new climate plan from Brazil. And the perspective of the agriculture is amazing, because we accept the challenge, and we need to aim for the future, the targets from the future. So we need to develop. So, but to answer your question, we need to follow the money. We need to follow the money, and we invite the World Business Council in Brazil to ask for the World Business Council, what your needs? So the guy said to me, to put some money in the farmer, we need to understand the risks. And to understand the risk, we need more information. To have information, we need science-based information. So in the end of the day, we need to connect everybody. So the good policy maker, Nick, is the guys that arrive in the issue after the market, because market have many solutions, but not all the solutions. So we need to understand the needs from the market, and we started a kind of acceleration program in Cerrado to understand the needs from the market. And the guy said to me, we need to develop not only indicators, but index, and the base of this index, the first step is soil health, but not only soil health. For example, I'm the guy, I work a lot with pesticides in the past. And I fully understand that we need to improve, for example, integrate pest management based on regenerative agriculture. So it's the second step. So the first soil health, second one, IPM regenerative. So together we can create an index to show to the market that we have a good way to put some money in regenerative agriculture. The good news, Brazil keep in this movement, and of course Raiz is a kind of example, but not only this. So we have accelerator plan in Brazil to show to the market that we have a way to put in the regenerative agriculture.
Thank you. Thank you so much, because you're really pushing the boundaries. So farmers, scientists, how to think more financially. And I'm learning so much, and I'm really inspired by what Brazil is doing. And maybe you could give us a short, lesson, a course online that we can attend on talking with banks and getting these investments. So I think Lily and I will be there, Helena. So Helena, please, your last opportunity on this panel to share lessons learned. I am so inspired by EAS, and I hope if other young people are not part of it, you will join and talk to Helena of how to join this network, because they're doing a lot of great things. So please share lessons learned, and then also tell us what you want. How can we support young professionals and students better?
Oh, we want a lot of things. But let's first start with like saying thank you for also bringing like the broader things, because I was going to do that as well. If we look at finance, it's farmers are still incentive driven. It's by what is most accessible. It's how they can manage the risk. They are at the in say very adaptive, because they're always going to adapt to make sure that they have a living, that they have an outcome. But if we don't address like the entire food system that goes around, which drivers, international drivers as well, then we might give money but not have a sustainable solution. And that's also why our association in the past was just called International Association of Agriculture Students. Makes more sense, IAAS. But we realized to solve all these problems, we needed the other expertise as well. So we added the related sciences. We valued like we need to have this all connectiveness, this more holistic view. So I really like that. And then I think for all the finance things, we should not forget the cost of inaction. And therefore, I want to say, like, we now are talking about restoration and getting all these things. But first of all, we should prevent all of these things of happening. We should invest where the money flows. We should invest, like, what are we still giving money to that is actually making a bad future, which is actually preventing of, and then we can give solutions. Yes, but how can we prevent that? So I think for that is for us as students very important, because we don't want to make the same mistakes, but therefore we need to have the power and the investment of the collaborations to indeed help us with that. And then lastly, we're here on an international stage. I like sitting on this panel and engaging with these things, but last week I have been very engaged with the negotiations, and we cannot forget that that is also very important for finance flow. And the fact that agriculture and food is yet not really mentioned in a lot of these texts where we should have more attention is really important. And I think we should not forget that this is also something we should demand for. And how can you help us? Like what I said already, we want to collaborate, we want to reach out. We're growing very rapidly. Only in the last 2 months, we have 10 possible countries that are rejoining. After COVID, we had a little bit of a downfall, international student associations. We have a very quick regeneration of people. So after COVID, it was a little bit of a hard time for us. But now we're standing bright. We have a very engaged network that wants to solve these climate actions in agriculture. So yeah, I would say just come and talk to us, engage with us. We're ready. We have some ideas that we want to pitch. So just come.
Wow. Thank you for your work in the negotiations. I hope, Nick, you're supporting her when you see her. 2 negotiators on here. This is fantastic. I just want to open it up again, get some more voices. You've had time to think. Great. I don't have to even pressure anyone right now. That's fantastic.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Álvaro Moreira. I'm from Brazil, and I work for the Better Cotton Initiative. It's a sustainability initiative certification scheme, and that connects cotton farmers to the market. And I work with Australia as well, and I wanted to react at that point of soiling my undies. And there is another initiative that is they took like recycled or used cotton, and they shredded it and they put on the soil to see how it would contribute to increasing the carbon soil. It was a very interesting experiment, and here I just wanted to promote a bit natural fibers. And I mean, I'm really enjoying the COP, but one big disappointment is that the tote bag apparently is made of synthetic fibers, and this is like, we could have made of cotton, right? Biodegradable. Look at me. I mean, just that. Anyways, but what I wanted to hear, and talking about evidence, market, etc., and what we see in the cotton sector and working with the textile industry as well, is that regenerative agriculture is becoming, I mean, it has become a fashion, right? And we know that, well, it's a fashion, but many growers have been doing this for a long time. How can, and one big part of regenerative agriculture is soil health and soil management practices. And Brazil is a leading example, right? Because here many cotton farmers, at least, they have no other choice but to adopt cover crops, no-till, and crop rotation. But then one way that we are looking at unlocking finance is that by promoting regenerative agriculture practice, so getting into that wave of, that fashion of regenerative agriculture, But also one important thing is to reward the growers that are making this transition, right? And getting the market, and we work with retailers and brands and manufacturers, I mean, the textile supply chain, to drive and to basically pay a bit more for the farmers who are making this transition to regenerative agriculture, or if they are already there, submit and more data, because it's really data thirsty, right, to regenerative
Thank you.
agriculture. So how do you see, because I think someone mentioned now regenerative practices, but how do you see this movement? It would be really interesting.
Thank you so much for bringing the natural fiber here and for highlighting the need to reward farmers for good practices. And I think that this has been a thread we've been talking about. Absolutely. We only have a few minutes, so we're not going to really have time to answer that, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity to, share some insights and react.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee. No, I'm just going to use my time to thank you for this amazing moderation. It was great, especially for a morning panel. Yes. And thank you to all the panelists. I learned a lot. And thank you for attending again this early.
Thank you so much. And while we're thanking people, we can thank Vanessa and the sound guys, the photographer at FAO and CGIAR Pavilion. Thank you, everyone, for attending this morning's session. That was amazing.